Hello, welcome back. For over 2 decades, Sinach has been a voice of worship and comfort to people all around the globe. Her music has brought hope and strength to broken hearts, especially in times when words weren't enough. Her songs echoed through church halls and living rooms, helping people hold on to faith when life grew heavy. But even as her voice uplifted millions, there were always lingering questions about her personal life, especially her marriage. Whispers and speculations have surrounded her relationship for years, quietly circulating among fans and critics alike. Now, at the age of 53, Sinach finally opens the door to her private world, not in a dramatic spectacle or loud rebuttal, but in a calm, powerful moment of truth. She doesn't offer explanations to silence rumors, but rather a sincere reflection of her journey, one that doesn't aim to defend, but to reveal. This is her story, told on her own terms, with the same peace and confidence that made Waymaker a global anthem. What we thought we knew about Sinach's life barely scratched the surface. Behind the powerful worship leader was a woman quietly weathering storms the world never saw. Her story didn't play out in headlines or Instagram updates. It unfolded in prayer, in quiet strength, and in decisions made behind closed doors. While many public figures seek validation by constantly sharing their lives, Sinach chose a different path. She protected her marriage, her family, and her peace. While some called it secrecy, for her, it was sacred. She didn't need to prove anything, and in a world obsessed with exposure, she found strength in silence. Her decision to finally speak came not from pressure, but from maturity, a desire to speak only when it truly mattered. And now, her words carry not only the weight of testimony but the grace of someone who's walked through pain and emerged with purpose. Before the global stages, before the fame, Sinach's journey began in Nigeria. Her gift was undeniable, a voice that carried peace and power. Long before she became a household name, she was faithfully serving in her church choir, writing songs that no one knew yet. She wasn't chasing the spotlight. It found her. Her breakout song Waymaker became a global worship anthem, translated into multiple languages, sung in churches across continents. And even as her popularity soared, she stayed humble, quiet, and devoted to her ministry. But there was one area of her life she never allowed the world into: her marriage to Pastor Joseph Egbu. While many celebrities made their relationships part of their brand, Sinach kept hers sacred and separate. Her husband rarely appeared with her at public events. There were no Instagram birthday posts, no joint interviews. And slowly, curiosity turned into gossip. People started wondering why he was never around. Was the marriage real? Was she hiding something? Anonymous blogs started pushing narratives, claiming to have insider information. They painted stories of control, of silence, of a woman trapped in a traditional structure. People filled in the blanks with their own assumptions. And the longer she stayed quiet, the louder the speculation grew. Even her fans started to struggle with not knowing what to believe. But Sinach chose not to explain. She focused even more on her calling. She kept singing, kept traveling, kept pouring herself into others while carrying the weight of unanswered questions. Some found inspiration in her strength, others suspected it was a mask. She never gave interviews about her personal life. She never addressed the rumors. But those who paid close attention began to see glimpses of deeper emotion, longer pauses in worship, tears that seemed to come from a personal place, lyrics that hinted at internal battles. Then came a moment that surprised even her closest followers. She became a mother. Quietly, without public announcement, she entered a new chapter of life. And still, she said nothing. Rumors came and went. Stories resurfaced. Yet Sinach stood her ground. And in one concert, when asked how she remained strong, she simply said, "Let God fight my battles," never explaining what battles she was referring to. And then, just when it seemed she'd never speak, she did. In a simple, quiet interview, not staged or overproduced, she sat down and finally shared what had been hidden for so long. "Why now?" the interviewer asked. Her answer was gentle, but firm. Because truth has its own time. She spoke not as a celebrity defending herself, but as a woman who had carried others' assumptions long enough. She explained that her husband was always a private person, and they both agreed early on to keep their marriage away from the public eye. It wasn't shame, it was protection. She denied rumors of control or emotional abuse and shared openly that, like any couple, they had faced storms. Ministry life brought intense pressure. They didn't always see eye to eye. There were moments of pain, but they chose each other again and again. She revealed a heartbreaking chapter, a miscarriage, that shook their world. It was a time of grief, confusion, and prayer. We cried together. We healed together, she said. That season nearly broke them. They even separated for a while, not out of resentment, but to grow and heal. We didn't separate to escape. We separated to grow, she explained. Through counseling, pastoral guidance, and endless prayer, they found their way back. Their path wasn't perfect, but it was real. And through it all, her faith never wavered. Even in silence, she clung to God's promises. She spoke about how her husband supported her when no one saw it, how he held her hands and prayed over her the day she wanted to walk away from ministry. That side of him, she said, the world never saw. Her message was clear. You don't have to prove your peace. You don't need to respond to every accusation. You can choose healing over headlines. And when you finally speak, it should come from strength, not pain. She encouraged couples, especially those in ministry, to guard their marriage and seek God through every season. Marriage isn't a performance. It's a covenant. And sometimes covenants need covering, not cameras, she said. Her words weren't poetic for the sake of being beautiful. They carried the wisdom of someone who had endured years of internal storms while the world made noise outside. Sinach never intended to share her marriage for public consumption. But when the noise got too loud, she chose grace instead of defense. And at 53, she didn't speak to silence critics. She spoke to testify what grace had built. In a world where oversharing is common, her choice to remain silent until now reminded us that some stories are sacred. Her journey showed us that peace doesn't always need a platform, and truth doesn't expire just because it takes time to surface. And when she finally shared it, it wasn't because she owed us. It was because she wanted others to find courage in their own silence.